For today, the last team that is going to present in front of us, they are a very shy team. So let us see if they're shy or not. Let us introduce on stage Team Lajuk. So put your hands together for Team Lajuk.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Sarah, and with me are Sapline, Marihan, Zulkar, and we are Team Lajuk. We've been given the task to assess the problems that Paradise Fashion Limited faces, such as labor migration and decrease in profits, and to provide you with a solution. Today, the solution we are providing is an industry housing policy. So first of all, let's assess the situation. So the Paradise Fashion Limited they mainly get their money from exports of approximately 10 million per year, but sadly their profits are decreasing. Why is that? Firstly, because of the fluctuation of the textile world share, and secondly, because of the illegal implications from Accord and Alliance, and additionally, because of labor migration, they face significant decrease in productivity, efficiency, and as well as loss. So moving on to the next slide, we can see the demographic inside of their work.
Since the productivity of the workers is being increased here, we believe that we can allow ourselves to meet greater orders now. And on the other hand, the weaknesses that include the high cost that's required to ignite this project at the first place. We need to create new HR committees, and moreover, ladies and gentlemen, we believe that we need extra infrastructures for that as a whole. And the threat that comes out of it is the fact there is an uncertainty over the return on investments, and there is a lack of loans and whatnot. But we're going to show you that this is the best way to go. Moving on to the next slide, ladies and gentlemen, we find that what is our plan actually. As the case suggested, that we're going to build a 10-story building that's going to accommodate 2,000 workers. Here we're going to give greater weightage to the women workers. And moreover, ladies and gentlemen, why do we do that? Because in that regard, we can get Nari Uddog Kendra coming up and helping us as a whole. Moreover, we're going to make sure that this has proper sanitation, proper facilities and whatnot, which will be further explained in my next slide, which is the short term. In short term, basically, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to acquire lands, we are going to hire constructors, build the dormitories. In the meantime, we are going to talk with DESA, WASA, and other utilities company to make sure that we get the best facilities that is required for a human being to live in. Moreover, we are going to give themselves recreational centers, a centralized daycare system, and moreover, a medical facility as well, so that they feel good about themselves. Moreover, ladies and gentlemen, we find that a home should be perfect for them. As a result, it will meet the demands that is required. Moreover, we are going to take rents from these workers, and these rates will be deducted from their salaries, and these rates will be calculated by the finance department of our HR, where we will find that they're going to find a particular value which is good enough to sustain this project, and at the same time doesn't hurt the pocket of the workers itself. Moreover, the grievances committee here will look into the complaints and all the suggestions that workers have regarding the committee. In this regard, they will have an open mind to all the suggestions. Moreover, the Women Workers Committee basically talks about all the complaints that are lodged by female workers. We believe that it is essential that we fast track them and ensure a sort of privacy if necessary. Moreover, we find the fact of productivity and quality inspection committee. This is a committee that will help us in our longer term. As suggested in longer term, we are going to talk about evaluation and monitor. Production and Quality Inspection Committee will come to us and tell us that if the productivity of the workers are increasing in the optimum level that we want, if not, what are the alternatives that we should go for. Moreover, it will work with the finance department and will help to ensure that the dormitories are in the best shape. If necessary, and if it is working very good, we believe that we should expand it, and if necessary, we will expand it. And lastly, we will use all the means that we have used to make this project a success in our branding. Now I would like to pass the baton to Zulka.
So now that we're talking about a company that has decreasing profits, we need to ensure that we have alternate funding solutions for them if they need it. As a contingency, we figured out two other sources of funds for them. For example, they can go to Bangladesh Bank and receive loans at a low interest rate, or they can receive funding from Nari Uddog Kendra, who have previously set up dormitories for IMG Industries. Moving on. Now, to understand why this is feasible for everyone, let us have a look at the conditions that these people currently face. Now, we know a lot of garment workers live in slums and the per unit cost of basic rent and utilities in slums are comparatively much higher than general housing. Now, even though they pay a lot more money, it's just sad that they do not get the amenities that they should get. Now, if we break down our analysis of it, in the next slide, we see that even if we assume that the construction cost will increase and that the money collected and the money paid per person in the end for per month to have a feasible plan will be 615, but that will exclude basic utilities. Now, even when we include basic utilities, it's still they still are left with a much better disposable income and better amenities. Moving on. So the next part of our plan is branding. Now, when we say branding, we'll basically highlight all the activities that we've been doing so far. For example, we can select the recipients of the housing facilities as a brand ambassador for us, and what they will do is they will participate in interviews or give testimonials as to how our ideas, our steps have bettered their lives. Now, the reason we're doing this is because one of the key factors, declining profits is that the agencies that we mentioned are portraying them in a very negative light, and if their brand image is improved, they can in future get a better brand image and get more orders in future with more revenues. Moving on. Let us have a look at the implementation timeline. At first, we'll need to acquire land and hire contractors and builders and start the building process. We'll monitor the construction process and initiate steps to provide other amenities by year 1. Year 2 is the ideal time for completion of the construction and handover of apartments. By year 4, we'll monitor and address any other issues that may arise due to this plan. And after year 5, we'll go with the branding process. And if we move on to the next slide, we'll see our milestones and key performance indicators. Now, the milestones for us are obviously low labor migration rates and employee satisfaction levels, which can be measured through surveys mostly. And when we talk about key performance indicators, we talk about the return on investment, employee performance reviews, and efficiency productivity indices. Now, to move on with our impacts, I invite my team Mike.
So, impact. The biggest burden that we have today is that we have to prove to you why the laborers wouldn't be migrating. So, why are these laborers migrating in the first place? Because they're relocating for cheaper house rent, because they lack transportation, and because they lack good salary and benefits. And what are we doing about it? What we're doing about it is providing them with lower rent, which is 615 taka. We are giving them shelter near the industries, and we are creating better facilities and benefits than other competitive factories. And also, moreover, we are ensuring effective quality assurance and monitoring, several checks and balances on management and guard employees, housing condition kept optimal through regular assessments and renovations, and ensuring reliable and affordable supply of utilities that the workers themselves do not have in their slum housings. Moving on to the next slide. Now I'm going to talk about what do we get from this. What we get from this is number 1, employee satisfaction. When the employees are satisfied, they have a higher productivity resulting in a higher profit. Number 2, penetration in the national and international market. Next slide please. Number 3, break-even in 5 years and 6 years in case of worst scenario. And number 4, since money will still be deducted afterwards, we will still be making profits. And now, we'll be giving an overview of our case. Firstly, we have talked about decrease in labor migration because we are giving a better and easier alternative, a cheaper alternative, and we are we are working on labor satisfaction. They will be inclined to not migrate, which means labor migration is decreased. We have talked about feasibility because multiple options for financing the plan with company breaking even after a reasonable amount of time. And then we have return on investments and worker satisfaction. So basically break even within 6 years, after which the factory can make profits, and worker satisfaction because we're giving them recreational facilities and all kinds of other facilities, they will be more satisfied. Thank you. With that, we would like to end and pass the stage for question and answer session.
We'll be living these industrialized homes, and it is feasible because these workers are paying a lot more in where they're staying right now. Most of these workers are staying in slums, and because of the existence of middlemen and mustans in slums, they're paying a lot more than what they should be paying for the utilities they get. As a result, we're giving them utilities for the amount that is necessary, plus we're deducting only 260 to meet our break-even. But besides that, Yes, sir. So we are also implementing a branding policy, which means by using these workers and by telling them to be ambassadors, we are going to show the world that we actually care about our workers. Why is this important, sir? Because after the tragedy of Rana Plaza's collapse, 20 major US companies pulled out of Bangladesh. Why? Even though we provide cheap labor, currently cheaper than China themselves, they're scared about the consequences of investing in Bangladesh. They're scared that the laborers will be harmed. As a result, they will be culpable because their customers will think that they are too late. As a result, if we show this branding that we care about our laborers so much, we're not only giving them housing, but we're giving them so many facilities to ensure a better lives for them. This will actually invite more investments as well as outsourcing opportunities from international companies that have pulled out from Bangladesh, because currently we are a better competitor than China because of our cheap labor, and right now because of this company's safety of their laborers.
Well, thank you very much and nice presentation. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you for your presentation. I have two questions. One is setting up a dormitory is a Herculean job. Nobody has still in Bangladesh effectively has done it. Actually, still at least I am not aware. Still, there are some risk factors like when you have a dwelling of 2,000 people in one premise. There are safety concerns, security concerns, management concerns. Why do you still choose that route rather than the second option is much easier and the payback is much faster? Number two is, on the case itself, it was mentioned to build a 10-story dormitory. But in your presentation, I didn't see that. Did you consider your dormitory to be built as is, as mentioned in the case, or you have thought something otherwise?
Sir, if I may? Yeah. To start with your question number 2, the case specifically told us that a 10-story building accommodating 2,000 workers will be made. So we didn't go for the architectural designs. Rather, answering to your first question, it stated that $16.2 million taka would be necessary for that. The fact that you talk about security and whatnot, let me start with the feasibility part. We told you that if we take rents from these workers, if we rent from these workers, we can get those money within 3 years. Right? And even if we take this money and start paying that to the banks, it's going to take us 5 years, which we can compile within the 3 years itself. As a result, we believe that we can get the money that is essential, so that part's gone. And the part of security and management, we believe that the production and inspection committee will oversee all of these things. And moreover, we are taking 200 taka extra out of the rent, in excess of the rent for all those utilities like securities, like what of the management, if there are any festivals or whatnot, if they want to do something, we're going to take this money as well. We counted that within the 650. We have just excluded gas, electricity and water because those are something that we cannot actually confirm here.
Don't you think, 2,000 people living in one building and in a 10-story building is too much security, too much risks in terms of safety, and this, it had been there in a fire incident. How the evacuation will take place, what is the time they would have required to complete the evacuation? Don't you think that's too much of risk?
We believe, sir, as a resident of Japan Garden City, that consists of 23 buildings, each 16 story. We believe that we have enough fire evacuation centers, and in this building, as we said, that it's going to be made sure with proper standards, with international bodies overlooking it. So it will have fire exits, it will have fire extinguishers, it will have people. And the fact about risks, sir, we believe it will be minimized here. As long as it is within the human power to minimize, we will minimize it because the international standards compels us to do it. Accord and Alliance is there till the 31st of May 2018, just to make sure that we actually comply with all of these things, right? If we do not comply, Paradise Fashion will again go to loss because international buyers will move away, saying your building is not up to standard, isn't it, sir?
May I add something, sir? Yes, so sir, since we are taking a big risk by working with Accords and Alliance for our branding, we understand that there is a specific consequences and not going through with the security measures. As a result, sir, in the 615 money that you've seen, we've taken 100x just for the security reasons. And to add to that, sir, in the HR management committee, we also have a grievance counselor, which will be a grievance committee, which will be overlooking the security of the building as a whole to make sure that no accidents happen. And in addition to that, in the production and quality committee under this huge committee, they will be overlooking the construction and the building of the whole industrial housing as a whole, because we understand that these securities are a huge risk, and if it fails, then we will fail. So we will take, we ensure you that we are thinking of passing our policy by ensuring the securities, and we've done our best in showing you how to through the management as well as our the rent system as a whole.
Thank you.
Thank you. Nice presentation. Congratulations. And the way you try to calculate the cost per person for giving the dormitory service is nice. I have just one question. Like, the purpose of building this dormitory is to mitigate the labor migration issue. And of course, like earlier group also, Dr. Shaib asked, did you present or can you calculate or can you predict how much the worker going away, the percentage you can reduce by doing this dormitory? This is one I think you should have, or you can tell us about it. And also in the in the implementation timeline, as you have shown that the building construction will take about 2 years and then the handover. Then what is your short-term plan to mitigate the problem? Because by the time you finish the building, handover and use that as a branding, and by that time, if your worker migration issue gets worsened and your profitability goes down, you may not survive in those 3 years, initial 3 years. So what is your plan for handling the short term?
I'll answer this in 2 layers. The first layer would be the fact that we can always bank on Bangladesh Bank, which provides us a 1.5% interest rate. The math that we showed is basically about that. And the second thing about, when you talk about labor migration within these 2 years. So here's the thing, we can always tell our neighbors that guess what, this is a land that you've acquired, this is a building that you're building solely for you to live in. We believe they will give us some sort of loyalty in that regard, because we are building it in front of their own eyes, right? So I believe in that sense we give them a particular incentive that if you wait for 2 years, the future is going to be bright for you.
May I add to that? Well, sir, and we believe that the workers understand. If they leave our factory right now, the only thing they can do right now is to join another factory, maybe closer to their homes, or they might shift to another job, right? So, sir, we believe that the workers understand in that scenario, they will be getting roughly the same salary. They will still have to go from their house to that factory, transportation costs, plus they will be living in slums, in horrible conditions, in overpriced rents, right? But now we will be promising them that, look at this, the industrial housing is right near your factory. You just have to walk over here, and plus we're doing all of this, we're building these houses for you. You can stay there, and you only have to pay a significant amount, which is nowhere near to the amount you're paying right now. So we believe, sir, these workers will not opt for actually going to another company or industry just because they don't want to wait for 2 years. We believe that they understand this 2 years is an investment from them to a better life. So within the implementation of them, they will understand that they have to stay here to have a better life. And in addition to that, sir, in the case it was mentioned that we have already lost workers, which have caused a detrimental effect on our company. Now, the whole world knows that we have industrial housing for these workers. We're giving them so many facilities. What will this do? Skilled workers in other industries will opt for coming to us for interviews whenever we have an opening position. Additionally, in the case it was mentioned that we also have an abundance of unskilled workers and not skilled workers. Now we'll have more skilled workers because they will be incentivized to joining our company. And plus they will be living in an industrial homes. That means they will be forming a community benefits everyone in this process.
Very, very positive thinking. Thank you.
I have one last probing question. Sorry to bother you. On your presentation, you have mentioned the dormitory facilities you have few facilities. But in an RMG industry, let's say husband is working another factory, wife is working your factory, then some single mothers, some single fathers or bachelor. There are different combination of family status, people working in a factory. So how do you want to manage different status of people in one single, under one umbrella or under one roof?
Okay, sir, about the single workers, we've specifically thought about this because personally, sir, I have lived with my mother alone for several years, so I understand the mentality of this single woman, right? So in our policy, if you've noticed, we've included that 7 stories of this building will be dedicated to women workers. That means there will be specific floors only for single women, and there will be a certain community in our HR management system, as we've shown, that will cater to the needs of this single woman. So if they have any problems, they can go to this committee and complain and get some help from them, which is more than they can do in the present scenario. Moving on, in the other 3 stories built for men, bachelors can live there as well. So it's completely divided so that all tiers of people can live in all the stores. And
a bit of clarification that a particular committee was formed, the Women Workers Committee, that caters to the specific needs and the complaints that the woman files. We make sure that this committee is absolutely exclusive from the others so that the complaints doesn't get bogged down for 2 to 3 weeks. Rather, whenever the complaint comes, that complaint will be taken and the actions will be taken immediately. And as a result, when we're taking actions, when we're following the laws, we are actually setting a precedent for the other people that you should not do it. Rather, if you do it, you're going to face some severe repercussions about it.
One more thing, if you don't mind, sir. So, as you talked about single mothers, the daycare center is specifically catered to them because they have to leave for work and they have children as well. But moving on, you've also talked about husbands working in another company and a woman working in the industry, right? So, we believe in this scenario, if the husband is working in a company that is far away from the industry that the woman is working, in the present slum, there's still a transportation cost of this specific couple. The woman has to go to this industry and the husband has to go to that industry, and in addition to that, the cost of renting as a whole. So we believe that since we are making this specialized industrial housing for the family as a whole, the husband will opt for living with his wife inside this industry because if it has a net, it actually saves them a lot of money. The transportation fee that they could have spent living in their previous house, they will still spend it. But in addition, there is a lower rent. So they're saving a lot of money and the husband will think, wow, my wife is actually doing me a favor.
Lajuk, you are not quite shy, right? That we can understand now. Okay. So you are quite convinced that this is the solution, this is the right solution to reduce the migration.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. So two tiny questions. One question is, you say female security rating scale. What is it?
Sir,
Can you give me 30-second response?
Of course, sir. It's an international scale that most industries, especially in the Western countries, look for other industries when they want to outsource. They want to understand, they want to confirm that the women workers are specifically catered for and are not at risk in those industries.
Okay. Although I don't know how you do it, okay, I understand. The more pertinent question is, you started from year 0, acquire land and hire contractors and builders. You haven't keep any space for getting the fund, that low interest loan from the bank. There is no time frame for it. And acquiring land itself could take time. So it's 2 years, could be 5 years. How do you address that?
First of all, the case specifically told us that 16.2 million taka is there, 10-story building will be made, and as a result we believe that the building could have been started right away. Moreover,
sorry, excuse me, it doesn't say so. It says probable costs are given below. It doesn't say they have the fund.
So even if we start doing it, since Bangladesh Bank actually has these industrial loans, and this is not going to take much time about it, because even if it does, we believe it shouldn't cost 1 year, should cost us 1 year extra, which in our impact slide we showed you that in the return of investment, the break-even should have been reached by 5 years, but in a worst-case scenario,
The question is basically within that 1 year of getting that fund, the number of migration is happening. There might not be any business at all. How do you address that? Because it's 6 months, if you see every month the number of workers. So by the time you get the loan from the bank, let's say 6 months to 1 year, there might not be any production at all.
Regarding that, we believe that we can actually at least come up, at least this project actually comes up with a vision that shows the workers that something can be done and something is going to be done. Whereas the other is all about weight. It talks about numbers which are fluctuating and numbers which are not constant. And we believe the workers do not want something that is not constant, because they are not the ones who's gonna plan that 50% this month, 12% this month, we're gonna make 30% this month, sort of things. We believe this is the only thing that actually gives them a constant value. And due to this constant value, our promise kind of thing, we believe the workers will stay within that company for the next 6 months or not. In 6 months and more.
All right, thank you. I quite liked your presentations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.